Bienvenidos, Fright fans, and welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Jaime Fuego.
I'm Cecil Laird.
And we are here to do another film from the Phoenix Film Festival / International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival 2019. Shout out to Jason Carney, Monty Yazzie, and definitely Patrick from Allied for allowing us the opportunity to cover all these films. It was awesome, and this, for me at least, was my most anticipated of the festival because I like anthology horror so much.
Mine too, going in.
Yeah, and like anthology horror all too often goes, some of the stories are better than others, and there was no exception with this particular one. We are talking about Nightmare Cinema, which had a crop of different directors from David Slade, who did Hard Candy and 30 Days of Night. You had Joe Dante. I mean, what can we not say about him? Gremlins and various other awesome things. Mick Garris did a segment. Ryuhi
Kitamura.
I'll let you say it. I botched it. Who's done? He did what? What was the one? Downrange that we watched last year?
He did Downrange last year.
Midnight
He's done
Meat
Midnight Meat Train. No One Lives with Luke Evans, which was fantastic, as well as the 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. So yeah, he's done quite a bit.
Yeah. And there's one other director whose name is eluding me, but yeah. So we had 5 segments essentially. And there's a framing device of this kind of framing device where you've got Mickey Rourke playing this projectionist, but you can tell he's probably on set for like one day.
Yeah, he doesn't even get introduced until the 3rd story. That's the weird thing. This movie's the biggest. This movie was just okay to me. But the biggest problem was its lack of. Well, not the biggest problem. It might have been the biggest problem. Its lack of quality wraparound. Like, you don't introduce you don't even show the projectionist really until the last segment, except one time he might walk in front of the projection window where they're looking from the inside. But it's not a thing where there's a character being told stories to, like usual. Like, I would have thought that's what they would have done, had one guy go into the theater and watch all these tales of warning, that somehow relate to his life.
Well, they kind of did that because a new character walks in every time and sees a scenario that they're
No, but that's not what I'm saying. Like, it should have been one guy the whole time that we keep going back to, and maybe as we keep going back, the theater gets more and more decayed around him and stuff like that. And like, so all of the stories sort of go towards his decaying psyche. They represent, and it could even be the same stories, but somehow relate them to him, you know what I mean? Because what I didn't like was that, okay, a random person walks into the theater and what happens? And then the next time a random couple walks into the theater and then they sit down and watch how they die. And then the next one, they don't even show walk in. It's just she's already there walking into the actual theater. So they kept taking shortcuts, and it wasn't working for me. It felt too piecemeal.
Yeah.
Even for an anthology, it felt too piecemeal.
Yeah, it wasn't a cohesive vision, which I guess is the danger when you have all of these different filmmakers all working on separate segments and stuff like that. But, I mean, the first one, we have this, kind of a babe. Seems like she just went through a breakup, and she walks into the theater, sits down, and then sees herself in like a Final Girl sort of slasher, camping scenario of sorts. And they put their own little twist on it in the fact that there's like an alien invasion, like a little spider thing going on, and they try to flip the script, but I didn't necessarily find that twist to be particularly compelling. And
no, well, it was interesting. At least at first it feels like, oh, they're just doing a short version of the last 15 minutes of a horror movie,
The Welder.
Where it's the slasher, the Welder is trying to track them down and finish off the last couple of people. And I was like, okay, this could work. And then, you get about 10 minutes in, and then it changes into this other thing where, it like you said, it flips the script, and it turns out there's an alien invasion aspect to it that, is kind of interesting, and it does lead to some really, really over-the-top effects that were still pretty creepy looking.
Yeah, the gore was there at times.
So it was interesting to me. I didn't really dislike this story.
No, it was just okay.
It was pretty good. I kind of enjoyed it. So, but yeah, the thing to talk about the most in this one is the effects, because there was a lot of CG.
Yeah.
But they did do something kind of interesting with a camera on the ground. Because it's the POV cam, sort of like an Evil Dead POV cam, but you see something in front of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was an interesting attempt. You know what I mean? But I don't know that it worked the way they wanted it to, which was to be scary rather than silly.
Yeah, I don't know. And this whole sketch was, or segment, I should say, was on the scary, silly side. It didn't take itself too completely seriously, which I all too often like that stuff. So I mean. it was decent. It just didn't wow me immensely or anything like that. But I thought the main actress was solid enough in it, and the dude who played the welder, he was okay. But you know, there's not really too much else that any of the other actors do except become cannon fodder. So yeah.
Pretty much. So let's move into the second one then. And the second one is about a couple, a really, striking young man and his fiancée who has a big scar on her left cheek.
But still really pretty.
Yeah. And so she's completely self-conscious about it. And he's like, "Hun, if it's bothering you so bad, let's get you plastic surgery. My mom wants to meet you, and
my mom's
she's
had tons of work done.
yeah, she's had tons of work done, and she knows a great doctor. So just I'll pay for it. If it bothers you that much, let's do it. And so she agrees to do it. She goes in and meets with the doctor, who basically is very kind and considerate, and tells her what he can do for her, and is very reassuring, and that her feelings aren't alone. A lot of people feel the way she does, but there's nothing wrong with getting it fixed. And so she ends up going through with it and having the first surgery, and she comes out completely wrapped, and it turns out the doctor wants to rush her into surgery again the next morning to fix a couple things, he says, and she finds out that it's actually it's for not the reasons that he is saying. There's other reasons why she has to go back into surgery, and she tries to resist it, and it very quickly turns into a Twilight Zone episode.
Very much the vibe that I got from it. Oh yeah, it was also one of the shortest segments, I felt like, too.
Kinda.
All of them. Yeah.
Kinda. What did you think of it, though?
It was very, very okay, just like the previous one. I mean, I don't know. It was I felt bad for the girl at the end of the day. I felt like she was kind of pushed into the scenario by the significant other. They're getting married. She wants to look perfect for the wedding and all this different stuff. We do get an amusing reveal when we finally meet the mother, but that was really, I mean, I don't know, this one didn't really do it for me, man. I mean, whereas I at least had some campy fun with the previous one, Mirare, I believe this one was called, I just really, I wasn't as much of a fan, so.
That's got to be another word for mirror, right?
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway, so let's move into the third one, which I think the second one personally was the weakest story of them all. Yeah. To me, this one is the second weakest.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a bummer to say, because this is Ryuhi's one, called Mash It, and it is basically the religiously charged exorcism kind of story taking place at a Catholic school for kids. And where priests and nuns misbehave.
Each other.
And so, there's basically the film starts off with a child standing on top of the church, like spouting bad things, and a nun going up and trying to save him, and it turns out that he's like possessed, and he falls off, perishes in front of a bunch of other kids.
Splatters.
And the school has to recover. And the kids are scared, and the nun is getting scared, the priest is made aware of things, and there's a little girl who was standing closest when the boy fell, and she got sprayed with the blood. And so, but her mother happened to be there as well, so her mother runs over and is right next to her, trying to block her vision and stuff. And so from there, it turns out that the thing might not have died with the boy. It's still there, and there's suspicion that it might be in the girl now. And so the whole movie goes from there, and it gets much bigger than you even think it's going to, as far as how it's going to involve the characters. Like, it involves everyone at one point.
And it gets pretty bonkers by the end of it, man. I gotta say, that was where it felt a little more like the work I've seen from that director before.
Yeah, it is definitely as gory as a Kitamura movie should be.
Yeah, and it had a very Hammer horror vibe to it with the whole religious, stuff. It reminded me in some ways of I think it was an Italian I don't know. It's a film called The Church from the 70s that I saw about a year or so ago. And, I mean, I don't know. I felt bad for the girl when she's getting picked on by the other chicks and stuff, but I don't know. This was at least the most entertaining visually for me.
Okay.
I thought, I don't know if the acting was particularly that good, but especially in the back half of it where a lot of killing starts going on.
There are limbs a-flying. I'll tell you what. It is. I think it has to be the goriest one of all of them that we saw.
Easily. Yeah. And also, it didn't take itself that seriously, but it wasn't of the campy variety as much like the first segment was. So I don't know. I actually did. I felt this was one of the stronger segments personally, but maybe that's just my religious background of sorts or whatever. But yeah.
So the next one is the one that stars one of the actresses from The Haunting of Hill House, and it's actually done in black and white.
Yep.
And I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought it was
Slade's,
very high standard.
Yeah.
Okay, it's basically about a woman who has been having issues and is waiting at the doctor's office to be seen about the issues she's been having, and she was basically brought there by her two sons, who she's waiting with in the waiting room, and she keeps being told another hour, or he'll be free soon.
And they're little brats.
But at first we see the receptionist and she looks normal, and then later when she goes back, the receptionist's eyes are like slightly askew and stuff, and you're like, what the? And so she gets called into the doctor, and the doctor basically, are you seeing deformities? Do people get deformed in front of your eyes? And she reluctantly admits, yes, this is happening. This is a phenomenon that's going on. And she's like, and the doctor asks, what about your kids? And she said, no, my kids look normal. And so, he says, I'm going to prescribe something to you, and then I want you to come back or something like that. And so she exits, and when she exits, she can't find her kids. Yeah. And she runs across the receptionist, who's basically getting into an elevator, who now is like completely deformed, and her eyes are messed up and everything. And so the woman is left walking around this office area, which itself has degraded as well and has started to rot and things like that. And it looks really cool in black and white. This one, I think definitely the black and white helped. There's even a corridor that she walks down. It's a long corridor that looks like it's had just blood. It was a carnage, and blood was thrown everywhere and stuff. And it just was really unnerving. And every new person she runs across has these extreme deformities. A lot of great makeup effect works in this. And it too felt like a Twilight Zone-esque story,
well,
but
I mean much more so with the black and white presentation.
Well, yeah, but not only that, it wasn't a derivative feeling one like the second story was.
Yeah, this is one where I think performance-wise especially, and I know I have a soft spot for this actress because of seeing her on Hill House and stuff, but I felt like, with the exception of maybe the boy in the final story, this was the performance that I connected with the most, felt genuine like sadness and empathy and stuff for her. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it was a sad scenario, and as you also mentioned, makeup effects were tremendous in this one, and it felt very, this was maybe the strongest acted of all of the segments in my estimation. So Slade, he did 30 Days of Night and Hard Candy and stuff. He did a very interesting job with this one. This is probably the most unique and the least derivative of the installments, in my opinion.
I agree. So let's get to the final one.
Yeah, called Dead. Mick Garris's one.
This one was really good. I really enjoyed this one. Same. It's about a little boy who's a sort of prodigy piano player, and he's got really caring, loving parents, specifically the mom and even the dad. Like, it starts off with the dad almost missing his recital, but he shows up. Yeah, this is kind of the dark side of the beginning of Hook, this movie. So yeah, he makes it and everything is fine, and they're leaving the concert, and as they're getting in the car, they get attacked by a presumed carjacker.
Yeah, he's in the back seat.
And so he's got a gun, and he ends up shooting the parents and the kid as the kid's trying to run away. And so
yeah, this guy goes for it.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy crap, really?
And the film goes for it too. But yeah, so the kid wakes up, and having been gotten to by the police or paramedics in time, and they somehow managed to save him, even though he got shot through the back into the chest. And so it's they somehow managed to do it. And as he's trying to recover, his mom keeps coming to him. Even though she's dead, she keeps, talking to him, and he's talking back, and, he basically realizes that his father's dead. And as he's walking around, he meets this other girl named Casey who...
I really liked her.
Yeah.
I thought she was great.
Exactly, I did too.
They had a cute dynamic.
Yeah, they had a cute little dynamic, and then things start to turn sinister when Casey kind of warns him about the spirit that he's seeing, and that the mom might not be everything that she says, and stuff starts to spiral pretty rapidly after that, and the poor kid has a lot to face without spoiling it.
Yeah, that he does, and the whole reason he's actually seeing the spirits is because of the fact that he died, and they revived him, you know, and Casey says that's the reason why he has this new power is because he crossed over to the other side, and then even though he was brought back, that's how like their eyes respectively are open to being able to see these entities and these spirits and stuff, and there's a beat brought back from the beginning of it with a certain character and some more confrontation type stuff. But yeah, it's basically dealing with both negative people in the real world and, you know, negativity from the other side as well. And I thought the kid's performance was really good. Once again, I thought the actress who played Casey, she doesn't have a huge role, but she's very pretty and, you know, good actress and stuff. And I mean, parents were solid when we saw them initially, and I thought the effects were actually pretty decent for this one as well. Garrus did a good job.
I agree with all your points. I mean, I appreciated the acting. I thought the mom and everything that she had to do ultimately was really you know, good and interesting to watch.
The effects on those scenes were interesting with all the bright illuminating light around her and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
This is your life.
but yeah, I mean, I just was really entertained by this one. So this was one of the better ones as well. So this whole anthology, Nightmare Cinema, is a mixed bag, because then you get this kid's story sort of ties in with the end of the wraparound as well.
Because he's the final person to walk into this theater, and
and is confronted by the projectionist as well, but is somehow given, you know, a chance, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but if you guys are interested, if these sound like interesting stories, then give it a try. We still, as much as we said, we still didn't spoil everything, so
we just
didn't really spoil
basically
much.
gave you setups for each of these 5 stories and stuff. And I didn't like the end with the projectionist guy.
No,
I was just like, okay.
No.
I was like, all right, we've seen this before.
Yeah, exactly.
But as a whole, I mean, I had enough fun with it where if you enjoy anthology horror, it's like, okay, you get about 15 to 20 minutes for each one, and if the first one isn't your bag, the second one you might enjoy more, or the third one, or vice versa. I felt like this started okay, dipped, and then rose up with the 4th and 5th segments especially. I thought those were both pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for our review of Nightmare Cinema. Thank you guys very much for watching. Keep your eyes out for it. I'm sure it's going to pop up available at some point this year. I'd be curious what you guys would think about it.
End up on Shudder or something, I would bet.
Yeah, exactly.
All those
so
big directors attached.
Let us know if in the comments down below if we swayed you to want to watch it or not. I'd be curious. So, until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.